The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guest, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Broadcasting to you on WNN 1470 AM and TrentoVision.tv from the world's leading think tank laboratory, buried deep in an undisclosed building in hostile territory where evil and corruption is exposed. You're about to enter the Tom Trento Show.
All right. You could tell us the truth. We want to know the truth. Right now, all of you listening, all of you watching, you are stuffed to the gills right now, aren't you? You ate all weekend, all Saturday, all Sunday. Today, Monday, the 27th of May, Decoration Day. Decoration Day. You ate so much, your buttons are expanding, spare ribs are coming out of your teeth. Oh, maybe not for you.
Hot dogs coming out of your ears.
Hot dogs are coming out of your ears. The beer was flowing mightily, and your friends and family, and you partied, and you did all this all weekend, and you had a wonderful, wonderful Decoration Day. Or, now as it's called, what, CJ? Memorial Day. Hi, everybody. Tom Trento. WNN 1470. That's the radio station. As you know, we simulcast our television show. We produce a television show every day, weekdays 5 to 6, TrentoVision.tv. And if you've been following us, guess what? No microphones. We're microphonically nude right now. The guys driving in their cars are going, oh, CJ's microphonically nude. We got to check that out. But we don't have these big things in front of us. We got fancy little mics right here, and life is grand. And we just wish that all of you had a wonderful weekend. You know what we do. We fight the bad guys, and we support the good guys who have to fight the bad guys with weapons. And sometimes they die. Sometimes they're wounded. Sadly, many times they die. Many times they're wounded through the years. So this great country made a decision years ago to take a day to stop, to recognize, to memorialize those who died in the military, providing whatever was necessary. And some people died on the front lines. Some people died on the back line. Some people died in training. Some through long-term effects of combat, some through diseases acquired in other lands. But they put that uniform on, they took that oath, an oath to pledge to protect the Constitution from all enemies, whether they're close or far. And when called, I think of November 6th in 1944, when called, guys just stormed a beach as machine guns were tearing them to shreds. But enough of them fought valiantly and bravely enough that they turned back a totalitarian regime, the Nazi regime that could have gotten a foothold and had domination to a greater extent and killed more and more people. So we understand the horrors of war. But what we want to do today on this beautiful May 27th Memorial Day here at TrentoVision, on the television side, WNN 1470, we want to just reflect a bit on what Memorial Day means, how it came about. Sadly, civics, the study of the history of our country is relegated to the, what do you call it, the woodshed.
The back burners of socialism. Right.
And we want to just take time today, dig in a little bit, look at the history of Memorial Day, the reason for it, what we could do to observe it. Now, you're on the tail end of the day, we understand that. So this is going to be a check as to whether or not you spent your Memorial Day properly. This way you'll know for next year. And we're going to drive this show with some of our commentary, but we've got a series of videos that are going to take you into some of the unique parts of how this great country remembers those who have fallen, those who have died, to keep America free. Keep it the land of the free, home of the brave. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? How'd you guys do today on Memorial Day? You stuffed?
I could always have a little more.
Okay.
I do not celebrate your silly American holiday.
Right. Imam Abdullah,
I forgot about him.
for our new viewers or listeners, we're all red, white, and blue patriots here. CJ, myself, Mike, Mark, Dave, everybody else. But we got a slime bag Imam. But he's kind of growing on us.
Green, red, and white.
Like a fungus.
Yeah, like a fungus.
There's a
Watch it,
fungus.
Kufar.
There's a fungus among
Careful,
us, and his
Kufar.
name is Imam Abdullah.
We invited Imam. Does he have a first name? What is his first name?
Imam Abdullah.
Abdullah.
I
fool
fool you.
you
Oh,
fools.
that's right.
See, at
Abdullah.
least I know his name.
That's right. I fool you.
Thank you,
fool.
kuffar
I
woman.
fool you, fool. That's like our friend Andy Boston. You know, Allahu Akbar. He translated as "I want a Clark bar." I want a Clark bar. That's what they're saying. I want a Clark. What does Allahu Akbar mean, Imam Abdullah?
Allah is greatest.
Oh, now you guys have a Memorial Day.
No.
Every day is
Every
Memorial
day is Memorial
Day
Day
for
for-
them.
Yeah, guys.
All we do is try to make your totals climb.
All right. Well, Mark, how was your Memorial Day?
I cleaned.
Oh, did you?
I cleaned my new house.
Your refrigerator. Oh, you
My-
cleaned. What
yeah.
did you eat? What did you have for dinner?
Hot dogs.
Oh, really?
Hot dogs and hamburgers, but it wasn't a cookout type of thing. It was just, it was actually Burger King and and
problem.
Oscar Mayer. So.
Did you raise the flag at sunrise to half staff?
No, I did not, Tom.
Did you raise the half staff at noon to full staff?
No, I did not, Tom.
Okay. Then you get a failing mark on flag etiquette for Memorial Day. Supposed
Hey,
to at
I'm
sunrise, supposed to raise it to half staff in memory of those who have died,
Until noon.
and then raise it full staff as a positive look forward of what America is all about. That we are at full bloom, and because of the investment
sacrifice.
and the sacrifice.
But I did
yeah.
think about all the fallen soldiers and everything like that. My father recently died.
That's true. Yeah.
And he was 30 years in the military, and I thought about him, and there's a lot of people. I'm one of those stupid people who actually cry at the national anthem, and it's
Unless Rosie, what's her name, Rosie O'Donnell, unless she's singing. Oh God, remember that?
but,
Pompano Beach Cemetery has an incredible Memorial Day thing every year.
Oh.
Full honor guard,
Really?
flags everywhere. It's awesome.
In Pompano's in Broward County, Fort Lauderdale area,
just
Florida.
east of Federal Highway, and just to the south of Atlantic Boulevard for anyone
Next year,
planning
whatever,
next
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
It's really worth it.
Sounds cool. So,
well, I got a question for you, Tom.
sure, yeah.
What is the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day and all those other people?
6 feet of dirt, basically. The Memorial Day is to memorialize those who have died. Veterans Day is to honor those who are living. And, people naturally confuse the two because both are a legitimate national holiday in the United States for our military. But we do not want to, this day, Memorial Day, we do not want to decrease the importance of it. It's a memorial service. It truly is a time, and we're supposed to stop. This is part of the not law, but the polity, and in fact the resolution of the United States Congress. We're supposed to stop on Memorial Day at 3 o'clock, which obviously it's 10 minutes after 5 now. Hope you did this. We're supposed to stop at 3 o'clock and do what? Anybody know?
I do not.
To pause and think upon the true meaning of the day, and taps is played.
Yeah.
They play taps.
Um,
That's basically your moment of silence.
The what do we got? I don't know what that means.
This is a beautiful flower memorial garden in England that
is just in tribute to the United States also.
Oh, how lovely. Lovely.
Flanders Field.
Flanders
Yeah, I
Field.
think that's
Yeah. That's Belgium, yeah.
Belgium, whatever.
It's been a while. I've been in,
But Belgium, where am I going? What mic am I in here? Okay.
So what we have for Memorial Day is we do have the placing of flowers. Like a lot of people will visit cemeteries, national cemeteries and private cemeteries, and bring their best flowers for their lost soldiers and servicemen. Flying the flag.
All that stuff.
All
the good
no,
stuff.
No, it's not. It's not really. It's not just all that stuff. That's what it's really supposed to be all about. I mean, it's nice to have the day off
buying
and have
carpets. It's getting a good deal on carpets.
It's nice to have the day off and have a barbecue with your family and everything else. But people who are friends of the military, people who have lost friends and family, they know that it's like it's their annual renewal. You would think. They recommit themselves to reflecting on what does the United States mean to them, what does military service mean to them, how do we help the survivors how do we help the survivors of our lost servicemen and women.
You would think by turning the TV on the whole weekend. I mean, I watched a little bit of television over the weekend, and it's, hey, Memorial Day sale, come and get your carpet. Get 2 carpets, get 1 for free.
I
hey,
know,
buy
that's
an
when
automobile.
You're supposed to buy furniture or bed sales.
Cars.
All this stuff.
It's disgusting.
It's like, okay, this is the capitalistic system. You people are home for an extended weekend, so they can go out and buy stuff. And
not in this economy.
But we here at TrentoVision, we here at the United West, our desire is for us to take a step back and to reflect upon the true meaning of the sacrifice. Last week, I think it was Thursday, we did a show on the terrorist attack in England, and the 2 jihadi terrorists killed a 25-year-old young kid.
A drummer.
I mean, he just
a drummer.
Looks,
a drummer.
He just really looks like a little kid. I couldn't believe it. Like a little teenager.
Lee Rigby, 2-year-old son Jack, and I know we fought a war with Britain, but for a long time we've been fighting side by side with the Brits, particularly the war on terror.
Yeah,
so
in Afghanistan.
In many respects, our armies are united, and because the world has become so globalized, and because the threat from Islam is coming from every portal, every latitude, every longitude, the soldiers of the West are unified in a way that they have never been before. So even on this Memorial Day, there's nothing wrong with extending our concern, our prayer, our compassion to the families, even in foreign countries, of those who have fought with the Americans who have died in battle together. Very important. Question is, how many Americans have died in battle in the United States?
Going back how far?
What do you mean in the United States? Died in battles, fought in the United
citizens.
States, like the Civil War and the Revolutionary War?
Citizens. How many?
Does that include the Civil War?
How many Americans?
Does that include the Civil War, Tom?
Let's start with the American Revolutionary War. How about that? Okay.
Okay.
Now, I don't expect anybody to know these numbers because they're kind of strange.
Well, actually, the Revolutionary War, we actually didn't lose that many people. I mean, comparatively
There weren't that many people here yet.
Yeah.
Well, the Revolutionary War was fought between 75 and 83. It's 8 years. How many people did we lose in combat? How many people did the Americans lose, in the Patriots, the Minutemen, all those guys? How many died in combat?
Are we including Hessians and French troops and anything, or just Americans?
Just Americans.
I had to say less than 5,000.
Anybody else?
In the Revolutionary?
Yeah, Revolutionary War.
No idea.
In the Revolutionary War?
In combat. In combat.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about diseases or anything like that.
300,000 to 500,000.
The Revolutionary. No, in combat we lost 8,000.
I was pretty close.
That's pretty close. Yeah.
5,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
We lost 8,000. Totally, we lost 25,000.
Well, that's more died of disease and
Malaria.
Well, that's
and
what they
stuff.
die of when they go
actually,
to war.
if
Really,
you go back
they,
to Valley Forge
Yeah.
and look, we lost a ton of people at Valley
Frostbite.
Forge. Frostbite,
hunger.
exposure, basically.
Yeah.
So
Exposure,
wounded and total dead. Wounded were 25,000. Wounded and total dead. 50,000 people were wounded and died in combat and
Wounded and
sickness and
died,
disease.
okay.
50,000 to 50,000 people. That's like half the stadium for the Super Bowl to
Yeah,
bring
but what
this
was the
country
population of the country at that time?
to bring this country into existence.
Yeah.
I think it was about 20 million. There were a lot of. We had 13 colonies, but we can get that number. Then the Northwest Indian War, 1785 to 1796,
The Northwest Indian War.
or the Quasi War, or how about the first?
I remember that one. That's one where we really had the great idea to go and attack Canada. that was such a great idea. Why did we attack Canada?
Well, how about this? There's 100 wars we've been in over here. The first Barbary War, 1801 to 1805. Guess how many people died in combat fighting the Barbary pirates?
That's G. Hardy's.
In 1801 to 18, 4-year battle with the pirates. Guess how many people we lost in combat?
1,700.
35.
100?
people.
And who was that war against?
The pirates on the Barbary
And who
War.
And
were
what,
the
and what were they?
pirates?
And what were they?
Ooh, they were Muslims.
Well, actually, that was the first battle during that war. Well, actually, you have to go all the way back to the Battle of Tripoli and all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
that's in all of that.
To the
yeah.
shores of Tripoli.
Semper Fi.
Oh, YouTube's going to bust us.
That's right. YouTube's going to bust us for the Marine Corps anthem.
Not with that rendition.
All right, then we go into other actions against pirates, another 36.
1812.
The
And all
War
that.
of 1812. How many dead in combat?
Actually, we did. The most part of the funny thing about the War of 1812, we lost more people after the war was over than actually during the war, because when they went down, Andrew Jackson down in Louisiana did a whole thing down there.
Yeah, we're fighting the British again, and we lost 2,260 people in combat. Total dead and wounded about 20,000. Starting to click up. The Marquez Expedition, the Second Barbary War, 1815. The First Seminole War. We lost 47 people, 1817, 1818. Then all these wars with Indians, the Black Hawk War, the Seminole War, the Mexican-American War, 1846 to 1848. How many killed in combat? Mexican-American War.
I got to say less than 2,000.
1,733.
That mark is pretty
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
huh?
Killing this stuff.
He wins a chicken dinner.
Oh, you get the chicken dinner, yes. The Coais War, the Rogue River War, the Yamakan War,
Did you just say the Yarmulke War?
the Yakima War,
Yakima.
The
Yakima
Yarmulke
War.
War.
The
Hoi.
Yonka War, man.
the
Yeah.
Third Seminole War, the Coeur d'Alene War with 36 dead, the Dakota War of 1862, 70 dead, Shishkamoni Straits, Snake Indian War, Indian Wars, Red Clouds Wars. It goes on and on. All these little wars was 100 people, 50 people, 100 people. All right, now let's get into the more serious stuff. Though, hey, if you're dead, you're dead, whatever war you fought in. But all of these were fighting on behalf of the United States of America. Here's a big one, 1915 to 1934. Did you know we occupied Haiti?
Yeah, Spanish-American War.
No, it wasn't the
Well, I mean,
Spanish-American War. It was the occupation of Haiti. Spanish-American War was 1898. We lost 385 in that.
That's the Teddy Roosevelt Rough Rider
Yeah,
War.
that one. In Haiti, 1915, we lost 10 people in combat.
The Haitians have taken out more people in South Florida in the last 5 years.
You're not kidding. World War II. Let's go to the big one. Oh, wait, World War I, I mean.
You
World War
skipped
I.
right over the Civil War.
Yeah.
You skipped right over the
Civil War.
Civil War.
Okay, let's go to
Yeah.
that one.
That's quite a few.
Yeah, that's the largest one of American casualties.
Oh, well, you know
That's
what?
larger than World War II.
It's blacked out here, that's why. Okay, 1861 to 1865.
Yeah.
How many, now we have to divide this up because we've got Americans fighting Americans here. How many
All Americans.
Northerns. How many Union people died in combat?
250,000.
No, it wasn't that much. It was, I think it was something like right around 40,000, 50,000.
140,000.
Wow, I'm totally off.
Confederates. How many Southerners died
Well,
in
then
combat?
That had to be 250,000 then.
74,000.
Oh.
I thought they lost.
Now, other deaths. Other deaths. The Union in other deaths, other than combat, 224,000, and the Confederate 225,000.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
because of the concentration camps, because they got thrown into the concentration
Got
camps.
sick, disease,
Well,
all
no,
of that.
actually, the concentration camps killed as many. What's the figure?
225 for each, 1,000.
Yeah, because the post-war camps were just atrocities. I mean, they really. It was a horrific scene. That's where a lot of those deaths came from.
The total of Union dead and wounded 646,000, and the total of dead and wounded about 400,000 for the Confederate Army. So 1 million people died in that war. 1 million Americans in the Civil War. Can you close? Is that door closed over there? Okay, World War I, 1917 to 1918. I'll just read it quickly.
Well,
here.
we didn't come right at. The thing about the World
22
War
minutes.
I, we really didn't come. Everybody thinks that America was at the war right at the beginning of the war. We really didn't get into World War I until right towards the end of it.
Yeah.
We lost
And-
53,000 people in combat, total of 320,000. 320,000 in World War I in terms of wounded, combat, and other.
Right.
Yeah.
So all three
The war
categories.
to end all wars.
Yep.
Yeah.
We go to World War II, 1941, 1945.
But, I just have to back up a second to World War I. I mean, when you're talking about World War I and our involvement there, you look at Europe and you had like 20 million.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I know.
20
That's
million.
what I'm saying. We
Yeah.
didn't come in until right at the tail end of it.
I mean, that was,
No. And look at World War II, WW2. 291,000 Americans died in combat. 113,000 were wounded or other, that's the other category. A total in World War II of 400,000 that died. And if you add the wounded to it, wounded, combat, and other, 1,076,000.
yeah.
1 million Americans died in World War
Yeah.
II.
A million? I didn't know it was a million.
Yeah.
Are you?
That's all three categories.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
combat, wounded, and other.
And what was
Yeah.
the KIA?
Killed in action is 291,000.
Which is
So-
actually pretty low considering all the work we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Korean War,
I mean,
we
it's
lost.
high. It's high.
Well,
It's a
but
big
then it-
number, but it's actually a low number considering how bad it could have been.
Well, in comparison to the Russians, and how many people that they,
Yeah.
it was.
Well, here's a bizarre number. World War I, 3,300 people missing, MIA. World War II, 33,000, I think. 30,000. 30,000 MIA in World War II. And remember Diana last week? She spoke about 10 or 15,000 Americans that were left to die in the gulags in Russia.
Right.
So we left 30,000 Americans
Yeah.
out there somewhere.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
horrible.
The Korean War, 33,686 gave their life in combat. 4,759 are still MIA
Jeez.
in Korea. The total in Korea was 128,000 of dead, combat, wounded, other. Vietnam, 1955 to 1975, 20-year war. 47,424 Americans killed in combat. 10,785 died in another way. 58,209 total. And the wounded in Vietnam, the total number of wounded in Vietnam was 153,000. Let's go to Gulf War, 1990-91. How many people did we lose in the Let's go to the there's some interesting stuff here. Invasion of Grenada.
Grenada.
6.
We lost 18 in combat.
I believe most of those were friendly fire.
Yeah, a bunch of SEALs died.
Right, going in.
Getting drowned. Yeah, drowning.
I had a friend who was there, and he told me it was just horrible.
Panama, 23. The Gulf War. How many died in the Gulf War where we went in and took out Saddam
Gulf War
Hussein?
One. Yeah, Gulf War One.
Well, we didn't take out Saddam in Gulf War One.
Desert Storm. We're talking about Desert Storm, right?
Yeah, Desert Storm, yeah. Is he?
I don't
Yep.
think we didn't lose that many people.
Under
did we?
100.
No,
Not
no,
about
we
150.
no, it was. I thought it was like about 500, if I remember correctly. Am I wrong?
No, 149.
I'm wrong. Okay.
149, 145 other, and no missing. We got everybody back, thank God for that. And total wounded, and total dead, total wounded in the Gulf War is 1,143. Somalia, when we went in there, 29. Colombia, Bosnia, Herzegovina. We lost some people in that war, 7. That was just a
What
bombing
about-
war.
Is that where Bill Clinton went to hand land to the Muslims?
Yeah, yes, he handed over countries to the Muslims. Afghanistan, 2001 to the present. And these numbers are a little
Now, does
behind,
that
but not
include-
bad. What do you think? How many Americans gave their life in Afghanistan?
Is
Killed
this-
in combat.
Killed. I'd say 10 to 11,000.
6,000.
No, it's around 5.
No, I don't think these are old numbers. I think these are low. This says 1,400.
No,
No.
Impossible.
No, those are wrong.
Uh,
That's definitely wrong.
That number's a little low. It's about 4,000 or 5,000. And on Iraq, they got 4,000, 3,500.
Well, I was including Iraq and Afghanistan. So it's just
Yeah.
Afghanistan.
Yeah,
only.
just Afghanistan.
Okay, I was
Oh,
combining.
that's
I was combining both.
Killed in action. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Killed in action.
Killed in action, about
It's about
1,435
1,500.
in Afghanistan.
Yeah, but when you combine it with Iraq, it's around 5,000.
That's where you get the 5,000.
Okay.
Yeah, 3,542. We have left one
I
behind.
have to say, it's really strange because when we got to World War II, then we started getting into wars where so many of the people who we know and work with were participating.
Yep, that's bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you're reading all these small wars, you talk about Grenada, Bosnia Herzegovina,
Well,
Somalia. I mean, we know the commanders from
Yeah,
these.
yeah, exactly.
well,
It's just
well, you look at the comparison between.
And we're honoring the Boykins and all of them who led men into battle, and those men died. These are special days for our friends like Boykin and
I
Valerie.
know
and
that's
all
what
those.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. I
yeah.
mean, this
well,
is
well, yeah, but if you had to look in comparison between the Afghan-Iraq war compared to Vietnam, if you will, or another comparatively time-framed war,
right.
is, we've lost considerably a lot less personnel, and I think that's mainly due to our technology.
Technology.
Well,
sure.
It's all technology, and it's also just
All right, I
overall.
gotta
But
move
it's-
on. I
but
gotta move
think
on
it's-
here.
For
no,
those-
we should
for those-
say,
the reason
I think
be-
it's also the fact that we don't actually do fighting every day the way we used to do when we were in a war. It used to be when you were in a war, you were fighting. Now, our wars are basically we
Police
sit around,
actions.
we wait to be a target, we don't respond, and then we wait until the president says it's time to come home.
I'd be curious to find out the statistic on the last 2 to 3 years of when we changed our policy to a police action, or
Oh, how many died and all
how many
that?
died versus
Yeah, that's out there. I've
actually
seen
to
those
the
studies.
point compared, not to the other point, but compared to Desert Storm, where we went in there, we actually attacked and we defeated a country, and we
We will
I mean,
do
we
that.
go there,
We
we
will do
sit
that.
in
We gotta move ahead. We
barracks,
gotta move
build
ahead on
schools.
Memorial Day. We gotta move ahead.
Okay.
We will do that on another
Are
show.
you really going to read the whole list?
The total, it's done. The grand total from 1975 to the present. The reason why we have this day today, 27 May 2013, Memorial Day, is because 848,163 Americans. Are you smoking a cigar?
No.
You should
Yeah.
not be
No,
smoking a
that's-
cigar.
That's not
That's
right.
what I smell.
Yeah.
No cigar smoking.
Not smoke
No.
a cigar, sure.
No. This is not
I
cigar
cannot-
talk radio.
Yes,
I
this
thought
is
I'm practicing
not
for
the-
cigar
this
talk.
This is not
cigar
that
talk.
show.
848,163,000 Americans have died. That's what this day is all about. 430 died in combat. 433,161 have died in other ways. It's a total of 1.3 million. And then wounded, 1.5 million, for a grand total of dead and wounded since 1775. If you think of the battles of Europe and everything, this is relatively small. From 1775 to now, 2,717,991 Americans have died or been wounded for this great country. And today we stop to honor them and the 38,159 that are missing still. So that's what this is all about. And ironically, after the Civil War, that's when some women, because they were sons and, you know, one side, the other, they went and started decorating the graves with flowers. And as that, on this day, May 30th, you know why they picked May 30th? Well, today's the 27th. It used to be, in the history of the United States, May 30th was Memorial Day. What happened with that? Anybody know how that all got changed around?
So you could have 3 days.
Yeah, when they did the Monday thing, yeah.
Yeah. It was May 30th. You know where that day came from? A little bit of trivia.
No.
That day was picked as the day to put flowers on the graves of the soldiers, honoring them, because they felt all over the country that the blooming of flowers in every time zone and weather zone, flowers would bloom on that at that time, May 30th.
Like Flanders Field.
Yeah, and so May 30th was the selected date
The
for.
last Monday in May.
No, it was the May 30th. That was the date up until 1968. 1968, it was changed to a federal law saying let's have a 3-day weekend and switch these things to Mondays. So now it's the last Monday in May, and now it changes. The date changes obviously every year. So it used to be May 30th. It used to be Decoration Day. Then it was changed to Memorial Day.
We go through
Now
this
it's May
every
30th.
holiday.
Every time. Oh,
Gosh,
man. All right, but now we're going to show you some videos to give you a little look at stuff that if you haven't seen this, you need to. Put it on your bucket list in Washington, D.C. We're going to show you a couple of minutes of the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the
Unknown soldier.
Unknown Soldier. Soldiers, actually. I think there's...
And for our radio listening audience, we will describe it as it happens.
Yeah, we're just going to see some video. We'll describe it and then kind of touch base on it. Here we go. Changing of the guard. And it is
The guard is
34 minutes after 5 o'clock on Memorial Day, 27 May 2013. Thank you all for joining us, and we wish you had a wonderful day. And look at this piece of video right here. Right here.
Right there.
Right there.
This is okay. This is the creative pull shot.
Full shot. Have you ever been to the Changing the Guard Tunnel?
Yes, I have several times.
Are we going back to the video?
Yep.
You can just speed forward to
Yeah.
where there's some action.
Yep.
Yes, I have several times, and here we go right here. This isn't the spin one, is it? This should be video number 1.
If requested that all visitors remain behind the changing red.
Okay, you got to put video number 1 up. Somebody drank a little too much soda pop. No, not that one. That's the one.
Okay.
I had the right one.
Okay. You had the right one. We just weren't at the right key.
Yeah, just we'll let it play.
But yeah, so you've been at the Changing of the Guard, Tom? And
I have been many times. It is absolutely amazing.
Can you explain to me what happens and everything?
Yeah, here we go. Okay, it's
Okay,
in
so
Arlington Cemetery.
This is at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier?
Yeah, this is at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
And there's a unknown soldier for every major war. Is for World War I, for Vietnam, for World War II, and
And every day, I don't remember exactly when they change. They change every few hours. But here, we're watching it right now. It is really an amazing piece of video for those of you in the radio audience. You can go, on the TV audience, you're watching it. We have two soldiers walking in opposite directions in perfect unison. They're selected for their height, their weight, and they're walking right now in front of the grave.
Is there a certain amount of steps?
Listen up.
I am Staff Sergeant Gillis of the 3rd Infantry Regiment, United States Army, commander of the relief, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
That was the announcement of the changing of the guard. And one guard will come out of a room where they all stay and go through this very regimented, just amazing procedure where they honor the tomb that they're right next to. Right now, the new guard is coming and checking the weapon of the one who's going to be leaving to make sure everything is perfect. Actually, he's the one coming on. Damon, see if you can find out how often each day. I think it's about every 3 or 4 hours. I've been several times, and as an audience, people are around the roped-off area, and right now the inspector is looking inside the barrel. He's looking, spinning the rifle in a very formal way. They all wear sunglasses. They're all this. Look at. They're all the same exact height.
And this is a very honored position, is it not, Tom? To be one of the guard changers, you really have to go there.
We're actually going to show behind the scenes in a second. There's only, I think, 300 or 400, but only about 200 have ever done this. So that's a pretty good. If you could speed forward a little bit, we'll show another 30 seconds or so from this. But for our listening audience, you can go this evening when you get out of your car. You can go to TrentoVision. Go to YouTube.com/TheUnitedWest, and you can look at this archive show, 27 May 2013, and just see this absolutely beautiful procession. And this happens to be on a fairly nice day. Now they're shouting commands. And the plane is taking off from Reagan Airport. This is on a fairly nice day because the audience just has jackets. These guys do this in the snow, the sleet, the rain. Nothing stops them. Now here's where they're both walking down the procession to actually change. All right, we can cut out of that because we're going to show everybody this next one, video number 2. This is an interesting, very short piece of video. I have been there several times. I've seen these processions on video, and it's never routine, but it is routine in the sense that the precision and the uniformity and all of that occurs precisely the same each day. There's never anything out of order, except right now. Somebody, I think it's a little kid, goes over the roped off area and enters into the tomb area. Watch what happens.
Commander of the building, 2 of the unknown soldiers.
And you have two soldiers
ceremony that
side
you are
by
about.
side. The crowd is on to the left.
It is requested that all officers remain behind the changing rail.
Okay, yeah, we're going to play that again. What we have for the radio audience, we have. Hold it for a second. We have. This is all amateur video. These are not professionally shot. you're allowed to videotape. And somebody had their video camera rolling to the back of one of the guards, and a little kid, you could tell by his leg off screen, little kid kind of just slipped or something, but he entered obviously sacred area.
Yeah.
And the guard, I didn't understand exactly what he said. It was
I can tell you that kid soiled himself.
Yeah, you're not kidding. He turned toward him, he raised his weapon in one stage before pointing it, yelled in a very dramatic voice, and all of us jumped back. This is how serious the protection of the tomb of the unknown soldier, particularly on Memorial Day, is. One more time.
Commander of the building. 2 of the unknown soldiers. A ceremony that you are about to witness. It requested that all figures remain behind the changing rail.
Oh, what did he say?
Behind the changing, all figures remain behind the changing rail.
Behind the...
It requested that all figures remain behind the changing rail.
Remain behind the...
Where you...
It requested that all figures remain behind the changing rail.
We're requesting you to get behind the changing lane or something. Oh, the changing
It
lane.
requested that all figures remain behind the changing rail.
He's pissed.
He's pissed, yeah. Man, that is something
It
else.
requested that all figures remain behind the changing rail.
Okay, now what we have
It
for all of
requested that all
us.
figures
Okay,
remain
okay.
behind the changing rail.
We get it, officer. We get
There's
it.
no there there.
There's no there there. Right?
A ceremony that
Okay, here's some information on changing the guard. All right, what we're going to do right now, again, we said that this is going to be video driven, this portion. We gave you a little overview on Memorial Day. We're going to give you an inside look. This little documentary was shot. It's 3 or 4 minutes. Actually, who these guys are and what they do. And on this Memorial Day 2013, we want you to see the kind of commitment and dedication that people are making to guard a tomb.
it requested that all figures remain behind the changing rail.
This is video number 3, behind the scenes. And you in the radio world out there, you can follow this because it's narrated and there's...
Now, we go to our man Fernando Suarez for a look on this Veterans Day at one of the hardest guard posts in the nation.
It is an elite group of soldiers who've spent months training for what some might think is a simple guard post. But in the 51-year history of guarding the tomb of the unknown soldiers, less than 570 have earned tomb badges, and only a few hundred actually earned the right to stand watch. Despite the obvious battle with the elements, it's what takes place behind the scenes that makes this such an exclusive brotherhood. The U.S. Army has given us rare access into the daily lives of a tomb sentinel. This underground facility is located just feet away from the very tombs they help protect, an area that is not open to the public and seldom allows media access.
This is where the guards are at when they're not outside.
Sergeant Benton Timms is one of 9 ranking officers in charge of changing out the guards. He has agreed to show us around on his day off, while we quickly realize that his schedule is not like most people's.
Usually for that 24-hour shift, we're going to be out for that entire 24-hour shift.
They work around the clock, starting their day at 5 a.m. and ending their shift at 6 or 7 the next morning. They get one day off in between shift, which sounds manageable, but it's the prep work before the next shift that consumes most of their free time.
This is my changing blouse.
Each guard tediously cares for his own uniform, everything from pressing the pleats on their jackets to measuring their metal placements to 1/64th of an inch.
When I come into work that next work day, I come in here and the first thing I do is I take this blouse out, I hang it up on my locker, and I check everything again. Because maybe overnight, the material might have sagged a little bit and something might be off just slightly. And so we'll go back and we'll recheck again and again.
Tim says the entire process to prepare their uniform from pressing and steaming to measuring the metals can take as long as 12 hours for a rookie and about 4 to 8 hours for more experienced soldiers. The bulk of that time, however, is taken up by shining their shoes.
So every day we go
Listen
back
to
with
this.
we brush them off and sand them down with 2,000 grit sandpaper and make sure all the texture's out, and then we'll re-shine them up, and it takes several hours.
They use a similar procedure for their gun holsters and bayonet scabbards, taking this crude green issued case and turning it into a polished piece that hangs at their side. All of the metal and badges are polished by hand.
You can sit in here for hours and hours and hours on end and still not be to where it needs to be.
Only about 1 in 10 trainees completes the program, making earning the Tomb Guard badge the most difficult badge to obtain in the military. Once enrolled, most serve an average of 1.5 years before the demanding post and the grueling schedule become too much.
Working 24-hour shifts is not for everybody. Measuring everything on your uniform to 1/64th of an inch is not for everybody. You know, shiny shoes with shoe polish, again, that's not for everybody.
It's all done to meet what Tim's calls a standard of perfection.
You know, to honor them, we give them our absolute best, and the best thing we can give them is perfection.
Perfection, which means no guard leaves this room without being fully inspected by another soldier. An extreme regimen that on some days can mean changing in and out of their ceremonial blue uniforms up to 23 times in one shift.
When you're spending 6, 7, 8 hours shining those shoes or pressing your blouse back there at 2 o'clock in the morning, you just have to stop, assess why you're doing it, you know, what they gave up. And well, hey, spending 6 hours on my shoes is the least I can do for these guys who gave up their identities.
When night falls, the vigil continues, but the ceremonial blue uniforms are hung up. Instead, guards don standard Army combat uniforms to protect the tomb when the cemetery closes. In the morning, they will reset the clock and do it all over again. Fernando Suarez, CBS News, Arlington National Cemetery.
Wow.
That is amazing.
That was
And
really
humbling.
interesting.
I got another video. I'm hearing a little echo in my voice. Is everything okay?
It's all fine.
Everything okay?
It's very humbling. We got another video we're going to show you, but I want to open it up for a minute. What impressed you, or what was your impressions from seeing that?
They're so dedicated, and obviously they have to be consumed with a passion for doing this honor duty. And I'm relieved to see it. I'm heartened to see it. I mean, we just spent a whole week doing shows about the military and how they're betraying the United States now, and we see these young people who are doing everything they can to honor the United States.
And they're changing. They're actually changing in the summertime every half hour. The guard changes.
Right. Every hour on the hour until the summertime. Then it's every
half hour in the
every
summer.
half hour in the summer.
And then it's in the winter. It's every hour.
Yeah, from October 1st to March 31st.
That's a lot.
That is
hour.
It's a lot of work.
You know, to see this
amazing.
type of dedication and honor that they have just to protect something like this, and then to see an administration in generals and flag officers right now with what we went through with Extortion 17 and what's going on with Benghazi, it's so sad to see that our elite men that take such honor
don't get it,
in such a, what would you call in their eyes, such a small position, and the President of the United States, Secretary of State, all these huge positions can't even take a little bit of honor and say, hey, you know what, I screwed up. You know, because if they get one wrinkle wrong in their uniform, they have to stick up.
And
for
look,
it.
it's Memorial Day, and we're stopping to remember the dead, but we also want to learn lessons so that there are less dead in the future to have to honor. Okay?
Yeah, a
That's
sergeant
lot of
has
what we're
more.
doing.
A sergeant has more honor than the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff,
who is participating
in a cover-up.
complicit as
In a
General
cover-up.
McInerney. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let's play the next one. This is another one of those unique elite groups that people don't know much about, but on this Memorial Day, we want to bring you the caissons. For you in the radio audience, this is narrated also. These are this is the unit that pulls.
These grounds have witnessed many such passings. The pace is graceful, powerful, dignified. This is the last march for men and women who have served their country and now are at rest. These riders and their well-manicured mounts are here to deliver the last good measure that can be given for those who know so well the meaning of sacrifice, duty, and honor won. Today, another revered soldier is returned to the earth, and teams of reverent witnesses attend and remember. For this, the hours, days, and weeks of preparation are all repaid in knowing that the best has been done for these patriots. How did such an approach to honor come to be? The Caisson Platoon of Arlington is a rich and historical story in itself. As you enter Fort Myer in Virginia, you'll immediately notice the Victorian-era brick buildings and know you're in a place that stands apart. The old traditions of the Army hold their place here as in no other. Fort Myer is home to the 3rd United States Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard, the oldest infantry group and premier ceremonial unit for the U.S. Army. Here are the stables and training facilities for the Old Guard's Caisson Platoon, where the rich traditions that make up these processions are guarded and maintained.
One of the last ties, the old Army, I mean, back to, I would say, I guess going back to the Civil War, I mean, if you took some of the guys from this platoon, they know enough to at least work as an artillery supply guy back during the Civil War because they can ride a horse with a loaded caisson.
So I'm trying to do my part here and keep everything the way it used to be. Keep our time-honored traditions full of pride and dignity.
Consisting of matching teams, these horses are specially selected for their appearance, bearing, strength, and size to perform their most stately duty. Their tasks are day-long, encompassing several funerals and covering up to 15 miles per day. Consisting of 6 horses, each team is harnessed together exactly as was done in the days of the Civil War. The tack and bridles are exact replicas. In those days, the caisson, the black ceremonial wagon, was a utility cart used to carry guns, ammunition, and supplies to the field. When emptied, they were reloaded with the wounded. Thus began the tradition of the caisson as a wagon to carry people. In the war, riders rode only on the left side to leave the right horse free to carry supplies. That look is still upheld today. Riders on the left, mounts empty on the right. When the honored soldier is a colonel or above, the riderless horse also follows. Boots are placed in stirrups and turned backwards to indicate this warrior will never ride again. Such images strike a chord of solemnity and perhaps finality. They are forever memorable.
I want it to look good. I want it to be, if it's their family's last memory of them, I want it to be something they can say, wow, that was the way he would have wanted it to go.
We lay our nation's hero to rest. They have given their lives for us, for this country. That is one of the biggest reasons why I take tremendous pride and tremendous honor. I see it every day, in and out. We make history in the Arlington National Cemetery.
These traditions, these acts of precision, grace, and beauty convey a reverence for a soldier's sacrifice that lives beyond the present. It is a display of character and commitment that, in some ways, may match that shown by the fallen. While ever mindful of the challenge, these proud teams will pace the roads of Arlington and deliver today, tomorrow, and as long as honor endures.
Yeah, it's very humbling watching not just the history of the caissons, but these young guys who are so committed to this country, to the purpose and principles of this country, and they want to participate in the final process, the final pilgrimage, the final march to being returned to the earth of their fellow warriors. Phew.
And just
That's
an
tough
interesting
stuff.
historical side note, interesting, the caisson is actually the vehicle that carries either weapons or the body. So it's...
yeah, they mentioned that in there,
Yeah.
that it was pretty... but that's... We wanted to bring you this little inside look into some of these things that we take for granted, the caissons, the march. But carrying on our conversation,
Yeah, so when you see in the news these people who want to disrupt those services and
yeah, it's just crazy. But
then you realize the enormity of what it is that they're doing.
all right, what we're going to do, yeah, and what we talked about earlier, to see the 30-year guys who don't have half the understanding of what it means to be a soldier that these guys do is just amazing. All right, everybody, you're all familiar with poppies. We're going to close this this segment, our Memorial Day segment, with how the whole poppy thing got going. World War I, there were battles. The exact battles were in the fields, the Flanders fields, battlefields of Belgium and France. And there was a World War I Colonel, John McRae, who saw the juxtaposition of the poppies with the white gravestones of the buried dead. And he wrote this poem. And as a result of this poem, the poppy became this symbolic flower that was used to decorate Decoration Day, the graves of those who had died. Turns out that it caught on, and France was delivering poppies all over the world to be placed on Remembrance Days in other countries and the United States. France at one point didn't have enough poppies, so in the United States, disabled veterans made poppies out of material and then sold those and handed those out to people. And that's how those on Decoration Day, those poppies came about, the poppy flowers. Let me read the actual poem. It's a very moving poem. We'll close our show today on this. By John McRae. In Flanders fields, that's the battleground. In Flanders fields the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly. Scarce heard amid the guns below, we are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and we were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high, if ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppy fields grow in Flanders fields. So folks, on this Memorial Day, please, if you can show the picture of the actual picture, we got just a few seconds left. That right there, that's an actual Flanders fields with the poppies. Thank you for taking time today to watch our show. Goodbye from all of us, and may God bless America and those who put their lives on the line every single day.
Amen.
We shall see
Thank you, soldiers.
On the flip-flop, that's for sure. Take care. Oh, here we go. Little American flag. We have a couple of seconds left. CJ?
Yeah.
Damon? Mike? Mark?
Thank you for your service.
Everybody?
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yes, everybody, thank you very much for saying goodbye. From the TrentoVision United West team. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.